Welcome to our podcast, Born in Silicon Valley, where we interview startup founders exploring their journeys, their success challenges, and lessons learned. We hope you'd be inspired in discovering what it takes to build a thriving startup. I'm your host, Jay Karen Villarreal, and here with us today we have Pardis Noorzad, founder and CEO of General Folders. Pardis, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jake. It's great to be here.
Well, very cool. Happy that you're here today. A little bit about Pardis. She is not only the founder and CEO of General Folders, but she's on a mission to make business collaboration simple and secure. Pardis led a team at Twitter covering consumer data science and was the head of data science at Carbon Health. She has also built products in growth stage fintech and digital health and early stage AI companies as well. So, I guess before we get into talking about your company, where you dialing in from today?
I'm at SDSU. They were kind enough to let us stay here for longer after our um, kind of residency as part of Techstars San Diego. Yeah, doing that from an office at SDSU.
Very cool. My older mater, and happy to be an alum of SDSU. Great school, and God, what a great town.
Truly.
Are you originally from there?
No, I moved around a year ago from San Francisco, where I was working for a couple of companies and started General Folders.
Very cool. Um, let's talk a little bit about you before we dive into General Folder. So, you've been at good companies, Carbon Health, Twitter, others. What kind of shaped you into getting into technology, and really, is this your first startup that you're building?
Yes, it's my first startup, although I worked at a lot of startups. I worked at a very early stage company as their first employee. They had just raised their pre seed. And I also worked at the fintech company Paytm. At the time, it was a spin off of Paytm, actually, Paytm Labs. Joined at 25. And Carbon Health, I joined at 45. And Twitter was kind of the public company I worked for.
That's great. I'm assuming that Twitter was before it was acquired,
Yes.
um, and lots of data flowing back and forth at Twitter. What was it that was kind of the attraction for you to join a bigger, more public company like Twitter at the time?
Totally. I mean, that was such a wonderful experience. I really wanted to. So, my graduate degree was in social networks, and I was researching kind of graph models of social networks and all of that. And so, definitely fascinated with kind of, working at that scale. Um, at the same time, also a huge fan of the product and kind of what it enabled, and felt like it really did contribute to me building my career, building my network, being able to work with amazing people. And so yeah, it just felt like such a cool experience in a great city.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, where did you end up going to school?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad in software engineering at University of Tehran, and also did a graduate degree there at another school in Tehran in AI. And then I
Hmm.
moved to Toronto and studied at Ryerson University, where I was studying applied math with a focus on graph models of online social networks.
It's amazing how much has come out of Toronto. I mean, with AI and
Truly.
Open AI,
Yeah.
and it seems like almost the birth spot of artificial intelligence. How much of that influence of proximity kind of, I don't know, got into your DNA with how you ended up building what you're building today in terms of AI and just I guess, the foundation around that?
Totally. I mean, I was still in school when a lot of the I've, the the time when the deep learning research was really gaining some kind of attention, and um, I think it was 2010, 2011, 2012. I was still in school when I started studying AI. And it was like multiple universities where, University of Alberta, University of Montreal, University of Toronto, Canada, and then, of course, you had Berkeley and Stanford and MIT, and all of these kind of universities in the States, and a couple in France and all of that. So there was all this stuff going on. So really, really inspiring time to be studying AI. And luckily, my school was also very kind of into it, and I, walking across campus, you'd see like this room where people were working on robots and everything, and using reinforcement learning and all of that. So it was kind of everything kind of came together to inspire to go towards this field.
Yeah. You know, there is so much going on. It seems like AI is infiltrating every technology company we talk to and every industry we're working with. Um, Talk to us about your company, General Folders, and what really inspired you to really help solve the problem, and maybe go even a step farther back to share what were some of the experiences that you were going through that you thought, there's probably a product I could build around this problem I'm continually trying to solve. So for the listeners, kind of give us a sort of a more background foundation of how this came about.
Absolutely. Like every company I worked at, first company was actually an AI platform company. We were building for retailers, and various models and all of that. We wanted to be their analytics AI arm. And so we had to bring their data into our warehouse. And this was, pretty modern companies, but also older retailers, and across the board there were so many challenges in moving this data around and having them share it with us in a way where we were able to kind of securely manage and work with that data. And the whole time I was there, this kind of started, it was there at the beginning and there as I was leaving the company, and um, took a lot of our engineering kind of time and effort uh, for that entire for my tenure. And so, but then to different companies, it came coming up to the point where at Carbon Health, because I was actually responsible for all of the data at the company, it was this opportunity to see all of the kind of transactions that were happening. And what I realized is that every time two companies work together, there's always this data transfer aspect. And this is just like how companies work, how business is done. And so um, that was when we on our team, on the data team, spending a lot of time on this, making sure that the data is handled properly and securely and on the right cadence, and all of that. And it's the right data to the right customer or business partner. And that's when I started kind of looking for some tool to manage this, and bought a lot of great tools, and you know um, and really didn't find something in this area, and started kind of talking to other data practitioners, trying to find an entrepreneur to kind of build this. But then ultimately went to our CEO and said, I think we should build out a team to kind of manage this. I think we need a team of experts who are just focused on this problem and will solve it. I think it will ultimately save us a lot of time and headaches and all of that. And so when I left, I had a couple of ideas for startups, and I thought, this I think is um, really something I know how to talk about, and I really care about. And so that's kind of what I decided to focus on.
So let's talk about the market a little bit.
Mhm.
There's lots of companies that collaborate and partner, technology companies, healthcare companies, finance companies, and there's a lot of conversations that happen and systems that integrate and documents that get transferred back and forth and piles of data that has to get, transferred from one company to another. So, I'll take one simple use case, kind of walking through maybe some of your own content of, there is a huge trend happening of acquisitions of companies over the next 5 to 10 years because of baby boomers, retiring or going out. They're literally just going to turn off the keys and the lights and shut their business down. But a lot of them are going to be acquired. And if you're going to acquire a company, you have to understand what you're really getting in that company. And to really understand the company, sometimes you got to get data from that company too.
Absolutely.
Might be a lot of data. So, walk us through what your solution will do. If I'm a buyer of a company that maybe we're going through due diligence, I want to get a lot of data and I want to do it in a way that it's easy, it's secure, it's accessible, and easy to really go through. What will your product do in that use case?
Definitely. And yeah, this is a great example, and also something we saw at Carbon Health as well, where the initial phases of an M&A is kind of due diligence, and you still haven't signed a contract, but you still want to be able to do your research. Have your team of analysts kind of review revenue and all of that. And so but in that kind of phase, you have like some data that you transfer, and absolutely you can use general folders to connect to the source at the company being acquired, and the destination at the company that's buying, and transfer the data on in this case, one time basis. But ultimately, if you decide that the deal should go through, you would want to set up kind of full transfer of assets into wherever you're storing your data. And we actually had this kind of issue, and just thinking through how to enable this. The company being acquired, you can imagine they were so busy, did not have time to help with this. And that even causes additional problems. So having some kind of tool to manage this, um, and properly manage that data for a company that's being acquired, they have kind of a checklist that they need to get through as well with their customers, and how that data needs to be managed, or what needs to be deleted, and so on. And so, really having tools that automate that process, and manage it for you is ideal.
And so that's what your product does. Now that's kind of one use case.
Yes.
Um, but talk us through maybe other use cases that you're seeing this very relevant in.
Absolutely. So I think the use case that we're going after right now at this phase of the company is very much for that kind of startup I was working at very early on in my career, and that is very relevant today as well, where there are these AI platform companies that are training models and want to bring their customer data to their warehouse, where they have optimized for hardware and other things, to kind of train these models. And they want to bring in this data on a configurable cadence, and want to do it securely and all of that, but also don't want to put the burden of the work on their customers. And so we kind of help them set up these pipelines, set the cadence and the right with the right security in place, um, you know, um, to kind of enable these cross company data transfers.
So that's one technology company to another technology,
Yes.
essentially.
It could
Yeah.
also, I mean, some of these customers have their, their customers might not be a technology company, but usually what they are is very tech forward. And so, because they're already using, they're already customers of an AI company. And so you could tell that they're very tech savvy and tech forward.
Yeah. On your website, and oftentimes content on websites change and is modified. And maybe this is old, maybe it's new, but it says the first AI powered data logistics company. Define data logistics for us.
Definitely. I really like this idea of calling General Folders a data logistics company, because data logistics has all these various steps. And we also kind of implement those steps for moving or sharing data. And so the fact that logistics is a kind of complex and multifaceted kind of process to get goods from source to destination. um, I wanted to kind of clarify that General Folders is also doing all of those things, whether it be on the monitoring side, whether it be on the auditing side, whether it be on the billing and accounting side of things, but also offering visibility to both sides and all of that. So it's like a, multifaceted solving all of the aspects of that problem.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot here going on. How do you position general folders in the SaaS and infrastructure ecosystem? I see on the website that you're categorizing it as a data logistics company, which we kind of just talked about, but kind of give us, your value proposition here.
For sure. There are some will see this as a kind of data integrations tool. Some will see it as an ETL tool potentially. But I would say it's right now, I'd like to categorize it as kind of data logistics, just because there's the infrastructure problem that we're solving, but also the complexity that arises from two companies being involved in a transaction. And so, from that aspect, I want to differentiate it from kind of existing products on the market.
And if you look in the market as you go to market
Yeah.
yourself, who is the product for within the company that you're working with that might be using your product?
Definitely. And right now, as we have our kind of intake form of trying to find customers who might be interested, I've actually differentiated between the roles. So right now, building for, the people who are right now handling data transfer at companies. So that might be the engineers, the DevOps team, IT team, data team, data engineering. So kind of building for that persona. However, we do want to kind of consider. A lot of times it's maybe the marketing team that is kind of trying to buy something like this, or the sales and partnerships team that are the very motivated party. And actually, at Carbon Health, was really seeing that our partnerships team was the one who really kind of wanted something solid here.
Well, yeah, it seems like it's a very broad area that your product can be used at. What types of companies benefit from general folders?
Definitely. And like, as we look towards the market for this product, and um, ultimately, as I said, this is how companies collaborate. And of course, we can't reach the entire market today, and we're focused on very tech forward, tech savvy customers who are looking to kind of modernize this aspect of their pipeline when it comes to working with other companies. And ultimately, however, we're definitely kind of looking to bigger companies and more established players to kind of understand their needs and how this product can evolve to really work within their kind of data stack.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much data that's being produced today, whether it's from a big company like Meta, big social network, to you know smaller companies in the AI space, that just data is being created and worked on and distributed, and it just seems like it's continually just growing, and having any tools that can help in that process would be helpful. There's a lot out there today. um, what's the competition landscape look like for you?
Yeah, so I think the companies right now thinking about this are still in the early days, in that, uh, I would say, like, and it's like very actively changing ecosystem just within the last 2 3 years that I've been observing kind of this kind of landscape. And there's, of course, Snowflake, I think, has a very unique point of view about this problem. And they've been, over the past years, been, doing more and more, and thinking through how to solve some of the challenges here. There's kind of GCP, Google has been doing a lot, AWS and through Redshift and other products has been doing a lot. But then there are smaller companies as well that I think have very interesting approaches towards this problem. And right now I'm kind of following those kind of trends as well. And it's really interesting to see how each of us is like, tackling the challenges that exist. And so I think we have a lot of very exciting years ahead in this space.
Yeah, lots of innovation happening. Where are you at in the stage of your company? We talk to a lot of companies that come out of Techstars and Y Combinator, and some are just bootstrapped, and they're all at different stages, all with different challenges. Where kind of give us a timeline of where you're at?
Definitely. So I raised my angel round on the earlier side, I guess Q2. Um, and then I was lucky to get into Techstars. And that program has been so now, like, that's concluded about a month ago. And so, yeah, preparing for the next steps, and excited. I think it's been like 2023 has been a really productive year.
Yeah, I bet AI all as well is just continuing to be part of every conversation that we're
For
having. But it's
sure.
good to kind of hear where you're at in your phase. Talk about the name General Folders. Where'd that come from? I love it, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I really like folders as a concept in operating systems and for organization of data and all of that. So, huge, huge fan of folders. Um, and then the kind of, and general folders is supposed to mean kind of also like pointing out the fact that, general folders is very stack agnostic, and it's supposed to work with any source and any destination. And so kind of points to that to some extent. Ultimately, we're actually very inspired by General Electric and General Motors as kind of that naming scheme. Um,
Yeah, it
yeah.
resonates big time. As you continue to build your company, what's your what are you excited about as you kind of look to 2024? You're raising capital, you're building a team, continuing to scale. Like, what are the top priorities? What are you excited about on the platform?
Definitely. So my goal is that we can publicly launch the product. Um, Currently working with 16, 17 almost engineers, and designers, and really,
Wow.
yeah, really great team. Um, and so yeah, definitely hopeful on bringing on more people, growing the company, but yeah, learning more about the customers, and yeah, very exciting stuff ahead.
Great. So are you still in the process of getting customer feedback and, building out features and functionality, or is it platform is up, it's running, you have active paying customers? Like where are you at there?
Yeah, platform is up and running. On the kind of customer side, working on gathering as much feedback to get to a place where we're kind of monetizing the platform. But so far, it has been kind of testing this out, making sure that the right connections are in place. But it's going well in kind of uh, this phase of the company.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
cool. If companies are listening to this, and by the way, I think you should check out the website and learn a little bit more about it. Where would they go to find you, or the website? Potentially try it out, or do a pilot project, or become a customer.
That would be awesome. Yeah. So, you know, after the show, I can share kind of a link to schedule some time with me. I'd love to meet with them. But also, if they go to the website generalfolders.com, there's a simple intake form, and they can also book some time through that.
Great. And in terms of the product itself, how easy is it to start using?
Yeah, that part, we've spent a lot of time on. I would say because, had the mock-ups, got a lot of feedback on the, product mock-ups before we actually built anything. And so we tried to make it as straightforward and simple as possible. So there's, no need to read kind of any additional kind of how-to docs to use the product.
That sounds great. Simplicity is something that people want to know about. In terms of pricing, just curious. I don't know if you have a pricing model
Yeah.
set up yet, or still more in the build out phase. But what can companies expect to pay if they were to use your product?
Definitely. I would say let's talk about that, especially because as we're kind of, uh, at that phase where we're having those conversations, it definitely differs based on volume of data that's
Yeah,
transferred. So we'll ultimately do kind of usage based pricing, but we do want to offer kind of credit bundles that make sense for each kind of phase of the company that they may be at.
makes sense. Well, I love what you're building. I know there's a demand for it. We have a lot of founders and companies that we work with that I'm sure we can make some introductions that will be helpful for you. Um, in terms of, I guess I just want to switch gears here, just get a little more personal about you. I call it three questions with three simple answers. So for other founders potentially to learn from your experience, where do you go to think, to innovate, to go, I don't know, creative mindset wise? Where do you go to do that?
Wow, very interesting question. Um, I would say kind of coffee shops are
Okay.
probably,
Starbucks.
yeah, actually, yes. Love a lot of the Starbucks kind of coffee shops as well. But yeah, Uh, I think that's been, a lot where I do a lot of my thinking. Coffee shops or co-working spaces, or this space that SDSU has kind of kindly provided for us. But yeah, probably places where there are other people. It's always more inspiring. Um, but just sitting somewhere and thinking.
Yeah, really cool. Um, what do you do to keep a positive perspective in the roller coaster of building a startup?
friends, friends in the space, other founders. It's been really great to be able, like, I feel energized every time I speak to another founder or just friends, um, and, family, kind of talking through some of the challenges, and, hearing their encouragement, words of encouragement, and all of that. And certainly, kind of the accelerator program, I would say, has done wonders, as well. So yeah, also like conferences and things like that, just being able to talk to practitioners and hearing their feedback about product, and some of their challenges in dealing with kind of some of the problems that General Folders is trying to solve. All of that has been, like, kept me going.
That's great. Last question for you as we wrap up here. What's some advice or something that you've gotten from another founder that you thought was really insightful or priceless that you could share with listeners?
Mhm. Um, I think there's a lot of things I've heard. One founder, for example, told me, like, it's really important to pay attention to your general well-being and all of that, because you're building this for the long term, and so that was really valuable to hear, needed to hear. Um, there was advice on kind of what type of markets to go after. Initially you're like, well, if I am able to sign this really big customer, it seems they're interested early on, it could really um, help growth. And some advice that you hear there is like, um, big company will have so many needs and requests and all of that, and maybe they're not the best first customer for a product. And so, of course, there's varying opinions at different places, but really finding that good advice for your company and where you're at is super valuable. I can think of so many more. When it comes to pitching and understanding the venture landscape and all of that as well. But yeah. uh,
That's great. Well, I'm sure those will come in handy as you go into, you know, pitch mode and present and look at securing capital from, VC firms
yeah.
and others out there. This is great. I love what you're creating, Pardis. Uh, this is a fascinating topic and one that I want to follow up and see how things go for you in the future here. And so, as we wrap up, I want to thank you so much for your story and your courage to come on and share it. And for the listeners, for taking your time to spend with us today. It's a world to me that you've spent it with us. My name is Jake Aaron Villarreal. I'm the host of the show and can't wait to catch up with you all in the next episode. Until then, take care. Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to all the entrepreneurs that have joined to make this podcast possible. And for all the listeners for listening. It means the world to me that you chose to spend your time with us today. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now. We can't wait to connect with you all soon on the next episode. Take care. This show is sponsored by Match Relevant, a company that helps venture-backed startups find the best people in the market, and they do it in 3 simple steps. First, they sit down with founders to understand their story. Second, they tell their story into multiple candidate channels. And third, they schedule interviews within 48 hours. Find us at matchrelevant.com to learn more about how we do it.